I would like to thank Black Justice for tagging me in this story right here. It was posted June 29th, 2021, as you can see right here. And you can also see this title where it says Right Wing Death Squad. Active duty Marine plotted to bomb DNC, murder black people, feds say. I wish I could say I'm surprised by just reading that, but I am not surprised. Have you noticed that a lot of these military personnel, and I'm sure you have already, have a lot of races flowing through it? Now you're probably like Torian, like you're preaching to the choir with this one because like this is pretty obvious, and it is. But the fact of the matter is that a lot of people don't like to talk about it, which is also very obvious. And it's no surprise that they plotted to bomb the DNC because they felt that was probably where the most black people would be at. But let me go ahead and get into this story. An active duty U.S. Marine came under federal investigation for allegedly plotting with at least two others to assassinate minorities, drug users, and employees of the Democratic National Committee with explosive rocket launchers and automatic rifles. That's according to a newly unsealed FBI search warrant affidavit obtained by the Daily Beast, which indicates USMC Private First Class Travis Owens and his partners in the unrealized murder plot were influenced by Timothy McVeigh, the former U.S. Army soldier behind the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing that left 168 people dead and injured nearly 700. So this must be Travis Owens right here, because his picture was the only one that came up that I could find that they put up here with the actual article. So it sounds like he was the mastermind behind this plot. And I'm not surprised either that they were influenced by Timothy McVeigh. As a matter of fact, when it comes to PC people and their influences to do the stuff that they do, all of that stuff usually comes from the people who are some of the worst of the worst. When it comes to bombings and stuff like that, they think of Timothy McVeigh. When it comes to mass shootings and school shootings, I should say, they think of the Columbine shooters. When it comes to these incel acts, they think of Elliot Rodgers. And usually whenever I do stories pertaining to each of those situations, somewhere in the article it states how they were influenced by those people. The document also states that one of the suspects had links to the Atomwaffen Division, a violent neo-Nazi group linked to at least 5 murders. A handful of active service members and veterans have been identified as being members of Atomwaffen, which calls for the armed overthrow of the U.S. government. The investigation began in late August 2019 when a tipster contacted the FBI about disturbingly violent conversations they had observed in a private Facebook Messenger chat group named Right Wing Death Squad. According to the FBI, 3 men were behind the troubling chats. James Wisdom of Arkansas, mechanic James DeWan Garfield also of Arkansas, who went by the Noms de Guerre, Moon Man, and Juggerbugger, and Owens, a Marine Corps E-1 from Arkansas stationed at Fort Leonard Wood in Missouri. Rhetoric in the private chat messages was consistent with racially motivated extremism ideology to include aspirational violence against religious and racial minorities, states the affidavit, which was signed by Special Agent Ryan Crump of the FBI Little Rock Joint Terrorism Task Force. The only one of the 3 who have been charged to date is Garfield, who in May 2021 was sentenced to 78 months in prison for illegal gun possession. Charges against Wisdom and Owens have not yet been filed, a DOJ spokesperson confirmed to the Daily Beast, and neither has a lawyer listed in court records. Assistant U.S. Attorney Aaron Jenin, the prosecutor handling the case, declined to comment. Owens, however, was kicked out of the Marine Corps in April 2020 after news of the NCIS FBI investigation came to light. Participation in supremacist or extremist organization or activities is a violation of the Department of Defense and Marine Corps orders and will lead to mandatory processing for separation following the first substantiated incident. The Marine Corps is clear on its stance as it relates to racial hatred or extremism. There is no place for either in the Marine Corps. Our strength is derived from the individual excellence of every Marine, regardless of background. Bigotry and racial extremism run contrary to our core values. During its inquiry, the FBI reviewed numerous exchanges between Garfield, Wisdom, and Owens. In one, Wisdom allegedly messaged Garfield saying, "We can take care of druggies anytime. We need to get rid of Jews ASAP, though." According to the warrant, Garfield replied, "Do both at the same time. Clean up the white community and show them who's controlling and manipulating, and our numbers go up. We don't have the time to do one goal at a time." "I'm aware," Wisdom allegedly responded. "Doesn't mean we need to be too hasty, though. We need at least a rudimentary plan and proper resources, before we try anything big. The trio seemed to be preparing for a full-blown race war. Their goals were laid out in group chats underneath exhortations such as wisdom. We can accelerate today for a new world tomorrow. And I'm not going to repeat. I'm going to spell it. SPICS. And N-words need to hang from trees, the warrant states. In one conversation, Garfield allegedly wrote, "Racism isn't real, the whites are the only humans." In another, he discussed assassinating Arkansas State Senator Stephanie Flowers, who was black. "Just fucking McVeigh, the DNC." Garfield, who boasted of his Adam Waffen connections, wrote in one message. If that was his attempt at code speak, that wasn't very good. You know what to buy, replied Wisdom, who also discussed constructing knockoff Panzerschreck rocket launchers out of PVC pipe. "Call me up when you've got it and I'll be more than happy to help." Getting those supplies, at least in part, will come from Owens, the men hoped. "I want a full auto Scar H," Garfield wrote to Owens in one chat, according to the FBI, referring to a fully automatic assault rifle used by Special Operations Forces. "Travis, hook me up with some goodies from the armory. I'll pay you $100 worth of McChickens." "LOL, I can't do that with how the security is in the military," Owens replied. "It's ridiculous to get your issued M16A4 service rifle." However, Owens told the others that he could obtain enough C4 explosives from other service members to do the job. Let me stop right there. This guy is so dangerous. The fact that he's in the military and he has access to all of the stuff, and this is his mindset. That's why it's so scary to put a racist in the military, because of the level of thinking that they have, such as what this guy was plotting to do, along with his little buddies. "I have access to 300,000 pounds of anhydrous ammonia," Garfield allegedly wrote in an August 16, 2019 message. "Just need a container to store it." "Nice," wrote Owens, the Warren states. "I have combat engineers as friends with access to C4. "Bombs away, Mr. McVeigh," Garfield allegedly wrote back. "Yes, kill them all," Owens allegedly replied. "I have access to so much. Ha ha ha. We can make it rain bullets for days." Garfield pushed the others hard, seeming to get impatient at one point. "I'm really tempted to act soon," Garfield wrote. "I can't stand by and do nothing." In October 2019, Garfield sent the group photographs of a handgun decorated with hand-drawn dates, symbols, and markings that gave winking nods to neo-Nazism in reference to St. Tarrant, which the FBI affidavit states was a shout out to New Zealand mosque shooter Brenton Tarrant. Also among them were references to the Iron Guard, a Romanian fascist group, coded anti-black messages, an acronym associated with the Azov Battalion, a Ukrainian National Guard unit with neo-Nazi ties, in 42089, which the FBI affidavit described as a reference to Adolf Hitler's birthday, which is April 20th, 1889. Jonathan Lewis, a research fellow at George Washington University's program on extremism, said the men seem to be accelerationists. The notion of speeding up the creation of a white ethno-state drives certain extremists of a certain stripe who use it to justify violence. Within the doctrine of accelerationism, we see a clear trend not just in violence for the sake of violence or violence in the name of collapse, but actions that can be linked to the defecations of individuals held up as martyrs, from Anders Breivik and Patrick Crusius to Brenton Tarrant, Lewis told the Daily Post. The iconography on the firearm within the search warrant, for example, highlight both established accelerationist and white supremacist motifs, as well as it shows direct inspirational linkages to the symbols and icons on the weapon used by Brenton Tarrant in the Christchurch massacre. In short, the investigation provides a grim reminder that violent extremism often begets violent extremism. The references to Adam Waffen and Timothy McVeigh suggest that the individuals involved look to the acts of violence and terrorism inflicted by other ideologically driven killers as an inspirational goal. Jared Holt, an extremist researcher at the Atlantic Council, told the Daily Beast. Though extremism can morph and change its form, the underlying motives and philosophies driving these movements are a constant. So these guys were, like they said, were trying to start a whole full-blown race war by any means. And they were trying to speed this up as soon and as inhumanly possible, I should say, when it comes to something like this. Am I surprised? No, I am not. And these are the same people that claim they are so patriotic, they are so for America and everything like that. They really want everything to go back to the way it once was, and that's why they can't move forward as a people. Which in hindsight hinders a lot of us from really moving forward. Because unfortunately, they are the quote unquote so-called dominant society. They are the quote unquote so-called driving force of the economy, if you want to call it that, allegedly. But I'm glad that they actually, caught them. But the fact of the matter is, it's way more people like this guy and his little buddies out there. Way more. This is going to be the first time. It definitely isn't the first time, and it will for sure not be the last time that we hear of a story like this, if they even put it out there.